Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Here's a headline from The Crypto Basic. Pundit says XRP about to see the most hated rally as XRP becomes fastest asset to hit $1 billion open interest on CME. Look, if you ever have asked yourself, did I make the right decision in buying XRP? Did I select a winner? I just think it could not be more obvious that yes, indeed, XRP is an early winner of the crypto space, and this is more evidence. And in fact, there's a CEO who is running a fund management company, and he bluntly stated, I'll show you a little bit later in the video, he has bluntly stated that he believes that people are substantially underestimating the real demand for XRP, and it's only increasing. It is only increasing. You just wait until these spot XRP ETFs ultimately get approved, because it's coming. And then there's going to be all sorts of additional ETFs that are multi-coin, so there'll be tons of different assets in them. But XRP is going to be a piece of a bunch of those also. Like, here's an example. We just got news of this. This is also from the Crypto Basic. Canary Capital files with SEC to launch American-made crypto ETF backed by U.S. origin assets like XRP. And so they had already separately, a long time ago, filed for a spot XRP ETF, and now they want to have what is effectively a multi-coin ETF, and obviously a coin like XRP would have to be included in that. And so this is new. I'm telling you, folks, the amount of money that's going to flow into XRP as a result of these products over a span of years and decades, it's unknowable the degree to which it's going to be consequential, but undoubtedly it's going to be big. XRP is going to be worth way more than it otherwise would be. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, this piece reads as follows. A market pundit suggests XRP is about to see the most hated rally in crypto after it reached a major open interest milestone on CME Group. For context, the CME Group announced recently that its crypto asset market's total open interest has surpassed the $30 billion mark. Among the assets that contributed to this feat, XRP emerged as the fastest one in CME history to reach $1 billion in open interest. Did you hear that, folks? And here's their account on X. CME Group, with 682,000 followers here on X, CME Group is the world's leading derivatives marketplace. This is massive, and their top performer ever? XRP. Well, how about that? This is organic, folks. There just is this demand. And that's why, by the way, another reason I think it's silly to assume that BlackRock is not ultimately going to file for a spot XRP ETF. Of course it's going to happen. I don't care what they say. They're whatever they say publicly, if it's to the negative or we're not sure, I don't care. It's going to happen. There's no way that they're going to let the competitors just take over this entire market. I do not see that being the case. Anyway, piece continues though. Interestingly, the XRP futures contracts hit this mark in just over 3 months after their launch on May 19th, 2025, showing how quickly interest in XRP is building across both institutional and retail markets. The rapid growth of these futures shows rising liquidity and tighter spreads, conditions that often lead to stronger institutional participation. Many analysts also believe the success strengthens the case for a U.S. spot XRP exchange-traded fund. Well, that's for damn sure. That's about the most obvious thing you could have observed in response to this. And I'm glad they're noting it. Of course, it's not a critique. I'm just saying, yeah, absolutely, totally agree. Traders on Polymarket now give XRP an 82% chance of winning ETF approval before the end of 2025. The SEC has scheduled October as the decision date for several applications, including those from Canary Capital, Wisdom Tree, and Grayscale. So you know what's really cool about the timing is, because look, I'm in the camp of yes, this is going to get approved. That's my prediction. I'll be shocked if the SEC doesn't approve this. That doesn't make any damn sense. But the cool thing is, as far as the timing, this absolutely could potentially happen at a time when we're in alt season. This could be. That's why I've said before, and I really I think it's funny how things turn out. You know, life's something sometimes. Everything that possibly could have gone wrong for XRP holders went wrong last market cycle, including the SEC suing Ripple, which is effectively attacking XRP holders on a global scale. And that's why XRP was the only top 10 coin last market cycle that didn't hit a new all-time high. Go figure, right? Well, they got attacked, right? This is completely different. This market cycle, everything that could possibly go right for XRP holders has happened to this point, and it's just going to keep going that direction. It's the coolest damn thing. We actually could get spot XRP ETFs approved, which will just be fuel to the fire, during the biggest XRP bull run in history. That's something that really might happen. So I won't be surprised to see that. Now, Nate Garachi, he's the president of Nova DS Wealth, so a popular fund manager. And here's what he wrote about this. He said, CME Group says XRP futures contracts have crossed over $1 billion in open interest. Fastest ever contract to do so. It took just over 3 months. There's already 800 million plus in futures-based XRP ETFs. Think people might be underestimating demand for spot XRP ETFs. Absolutely spot on. But a lot of people underestimate XRP. They just, and it's always to their detriment, because XRP just works. It does what Bitcoin cannot. And it's tried and true. It's been around over a decade. It just works. It really does just work. It's not surprising to see that so many people and businesses are adopting it, including as a treasury reserve asset. There's like what I think at least seven publicly traded companies so far that have publicly announced that they have or are about to launch an XRP treasury reserve strategy. Well, why do you think that might be? Because it's going to be worth a freaking fortune in the future compared to what it is now. They know this. You know, these are not degens. These are publicly traded companies. So that's why I said, you know, if you think XRP makes sense, just let me assure you that you're not the only one. I firmly agree with you. But it's some of the most intelligent and wealthy individuals on the planet that also think that you are correct. And it could not be more obvious. At this point, like you have to flagrantly deny reality to not acknowledge that XRP is an early winner of the crypto space and it's just here to stay. To not acknowledge that is completely unreasonable in 2025. So anyway, this post from Nate Garachi was reposted by chart analyst Credible Crypto, and he wrote, I think people might be underestimating demand for spot XRP. So Nate Garachi said spot XRP ETF demand. And he's like, yeah, they're probably underestimating that. And Credible Crypto's like, not that he's disagreeing with that, but he's like, how about just spot XRP? And that's true. There are all sorts of irrational XRP holders who absolutely do not recognize the degree to which there's real world organic demand for XRP, because it just freaking works. And those people who are not tribal toxic Bitcoin maximalists and they just want to invest in stuff that seems like a really good opportunity, they're here in our community. It's not a cult for them like the Bitcoin crew is. Speaking of demand, here's another post from Credible Crypto. He said, swapped the remaining Ether equivalent I was holding in Trad brokerage account, ETH, to an XRP equivalent based on the expectation of XRP outperformance over Ethereum in the coming months, as highlighted in the thesis below. And so he firmly believes that XRP is going to put Ethereum to shame performance-wise, which is exactly what I've been arguing throughout this year. I said what's most probable, given that Ethereum was priced in the gutter several months ago. I said that's not an indication that Ethereum's dead. It's just sometimes things get oversold, and so now we've had a huge rally back. Because Ethereum dropped as low as somewhere close to $1,400. It's now hit a new all-time high at almost $5,000. So it's rebounded quite a bit. But I said, well, when that happens, just expect that XRP will fall against Ethereum because there's ground to be made up. But ultimately, expect that XRP is going to continue putting Ethereum to shame. I will not be surprised if XRP comes for that number 2 spot in market cap for Ethereum before this cycle's over. I will not at all be surprised if that happens. And here's what Credible Crypto had to say, by the way. And this is from just about a week ago, I think. It was August 18th he posted this. Take a look at this. This is, let me go, make sure I got the right chart up here. Whoop. Yeah, there's the one. Okay, so he said, he's got a few charts here. It says, chart 1, XRP ETH has hit my downside area of interest, also mid-range after a 3-month correction that followed a 700% rally off of range lows. Chart 2, which is this one, XRP USD is now in its 9th month of consolidation above the highest monthly close in its history. Now, folks, that is true strength. Look at how long, can you believe it's been that long, actually? Since the XRP fireworks started, when we knew they were going to come at some point. There's no way. I said it for years on end, despite the SEC nonsense. I said, it's just absurd to me to think that XRP, one of the most useful cryptocurrencies ever created, it saw its all-time high January 4th, 2018, and that's the best it would ever do, despite all this real-world adoption, fundamentals only getting stronger. That was it. That's all she wrote. That never made any logical sense to me. And now that XRP is operating on a level playing field, now that the lawsuit's over and the war on crypto's over, wouldn't you know it, it's excelling even further and even faster than it was. All it needed was a level playing field, folks. And so now here it is, about 9 months later, sitting pretty, folks. Hovering around $3, not breaking a sweat even. You'll love to see it. Chart 3. Ethereum USD is approaching prior all-time high after completing a clean 5-wave move off of $2,100 and is likely due for some consolidation as it reacts this completed impulse. So conclusion? When you put it all together, it suggests we are getting closer to the next period of outperformance on XRP against ETH. So he's talking about XRP just decimating Ethereum in terms of performance. He says both Bitcoin and XRP spent months consolidating at prior all-time high before continuing their expansion. This makes sense because prior all-time high after a severe bear market is a logical place for holders to start locking in some gains. Meanwhile, Ethereum is now approaching its own prior all-time high for the first time, and that too after completing a clean 5-wave impulse. It is logical to assume then that it may take some time around these levels to consolidate and digest the move before continued expansion. Meanwhile, XRP is wrapping up its 9th month of consolidation at prior all-time high and is likely gearing up for its next leg sooner rather than later. The confluence of XRP ETH chart at support/mid-range adds to the idea that XRP may be gearing up for its next impulse while Ethereum may be cooling off from its last. It's almost time to ZERP it, XRP. So much sooner than later, there's going to be some additional fireworks. XRP is not done, mark my words. XRP is not done. It's had a hell of a run this cycle. It's the #1 performing coin out of the top 100 coins since the November election. It's not done. It is going to just continue to destroy the competition in terms of performance. And this is what happens again when there's a level playing field and it's playing catch up. There's a lot. I'm telling you, XRP, when it started running, it was like 49 cents right before the election. If not for the SEC attack, I don't know what the price would have been, but it probably already from last cycle would have, rocketed to whatever, 10, 11, 12 bucks. Who knows? I'm just making that up. I don't know how high it would have gone if there weren't interference from the SEC, but then it would have come back down. That is true. So you would have had a major crash. But then instead of hanging out at 49 cents before the election, maybe it would have been more like $3. Who knows? Maybe. So what I'm saying is it had a lot of room to catch up on because of the artificial price suppression. And it is not done, folks. It's just going to get better. And then we have this. Canary Capital files with SEC to launch American-made crypto ETF backed by U.S. origin assets like XRP. Okay, look, if there's a market for this, then super duper, go for it. I've always thought that this idea of, a category of American-made crypto, honestly, to me, it's just so silly because it flies in the face of the decentralized nature of crypto. It really does. If you have a decentralized cryptocurrency, it's truly a global thing. And fine, so XRP and other top coins created in the United States, that doesn't matter at all if it's decentralized. If a coin's decentralized, it doesn't matter what nation the creator lived in. It just doesn't matter at that point. So I know that was a narrative that Trump was pushing earlier this year. That, to me, I'm just being honest with you, go for it if that's what people want, I guess. To me, it just doesn't make a whole lot of logical sense because it literally just doesn't matter. It does not matter. But it's something that's being tracked. And so here you have, this is CoinMarketCap, top made in America tokens by market capitalization. And you know what number 1 is? XRP. That is the largest market cap coin in the made in America category at almost $180 billion. Number 2 would be Solana at $110 billion. So it's worth way less than XRP. That's the next one. Then it just drops off precipitously from there. So again, I always take it for what it's worth. I mean, I think it's silly to have this category, but if people are going to do it, fine. It's whatever, free market, do whatever the hell you want. It's going to sell some more XRP, super duper, I guess. But check this out. So technically, we don't know what's going to be in here, but I think we kind of know what's going to be in here. Prominent asset manager Canary Capital has filed with the US SEC to launch a niche-based digital asset ETF called the American-made crypto ETF. Canary recently submitted an S1 document with the SEC disclosing its intention to launch a new ETF that will hold a basket of US-linked cryptocurrencies. The fund will exclusively focus on tracking the Made in America blockchain index, primarily comprising cryptocurrencies with strong US ties. The ETF will include crypto assets that were either created in the US, primarily mined or minted domestically, or whose protocol operations are based mainly within the country. According to the filing, the fund intends to generate additional rewards for investors by participating in certain network activities like staking, if permitted. Okay, so so far as I know, they haven't publicly stated what coins will be included in this. Given that it is an American-made crypto ETF, it's unfathomable to think that XRP might not be included in there. XRP is the #1 made in America coin. That would be ridiculous. And this company already filed for a spot XRP ETF, so they're pro XRP. They know the market wants this thing. So that's a virtual certainty. But the cool thing is, again, it's just one more thing, and people, we'll see to what degree it's successful, but people are going to buy it, and that means that more XRP itself will be purchased to back this thing. That's how this works. That's why these ETFs matter. They materially impact the real supply and demand dynamics of XRP on a global scale. It is a big deal. And so XRP would be in this multi-coin ETF on top of it all. So it's just cool. Like, just again, everything is going the way that you would want it to. If you're an XRP holder, the way things have unfolded this cycle, it is exactly what you'd want. It's the polar opposite from last market cycle, but we deserve this, okay? Our community's been through hell and back, but hey, we made it, folks. It's great to be an XRP holder. There's never been a better time in history to be an XRP holder so far as I'm concerned. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.